Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. And today we're going to be talking about sleep problems in your gut. And sleep is so fundamental to our well-being and health. And here's the deal. What's going on in your gut greatly influences how and when you sleep. Your gut has over 30 types of neurotransmitters, and they're the same types of things that are found in your brain. And the gut also contains 100 million neurons, which is higher than the amount that is found in the spinal cord. And those transmitters that have brain-like properties make at least 95% of your serotonin. That's an important transmitter. It's a neurotransmitter for sleep and cognitive function. Now, serotonin does lots of things throughout your day. They call it the joy hormone, and in many antidepressant drugs target serotonin. But serotonin also controls your body's clock and sleep cycles. The body's ability to make serotonin depends on many things, such as the type of microbes in your gut, the food that you eat, and how much natural light and exercise you get. Melatonin is a hormone that makes you feel sleepy at night, and it was originally thought that only the pineal gland made melatonin. But they also found that the gut produces 400 times more melatonin than the pineal gland does. And even if this gland is removed, even if that pineal gland is removed, melatonin stays stable because of the melatonin that's made in the gut. And they have recently just found that the low levels of melatonin have been leaked to things like leaky gut and IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. So much happens in your gut that we are unaware of, and taking care of what you put in your gut changes not only your waking hours, but your sleeping hours too. Now, I want to talk to you about the vagus nerve, which is a really important thing to understand, which most people are even unaware of. So, what is the vagus nerve? The name vagus comes from the Latin term for wandering, and the vagus nerve wanders from the brain into organs in the neck, the chest, and the abdomen. And these nerves have two bunches of sensory nerve cell bodies, and it connects 90% of the neural fibers which transmit information from your gut to your brain. Essentially, it's part of a long circuit that links the neck, the heart, the lungs, and the abdomen to the brain. And it does so many things. It is why I think that this famous quote from Hippocrates is so telling when he said, "All diseases begin in the gut." Your gut bacteria can reduce serotonin levels from a lack of sleep, and other key hormones can change. Things like melatonin, GABA, and dopamine. All of those things can change. They play a really big role in your mood and your ability to sleep. Now, GABA is something that you can actually take GABA. You can get this as a supplement, but it is very calming on the body. It's also, if you do struggle with sleep, that is a supplement that I would recommend because I've done it. It doesn't really make you sleepy, but it just calms down your body. It calms down that thinking, that circular thinking in your head, and it's very soothing to the central nervous system. So that's a good thing if you're needing extra help with sleep, that you might want to look into that supplement. The bacterial life within our bodies is in a constant state of flux. It's constantly changing. Some of these microbes are being generated or dying every single day because there's so many of them. Some of this dying and renewal naturally occurs during sleep. And 50% of your detoxification comes through your gut and not through your liver. So what's going on inside your gut greatly affects your sleep and your detoxification too. And there's some really fascinating research connecting the gut microbiome to circadian rhythms and, the 24-hour biological clock rhythms that we have that regulates the sleep and the wake cycle. And a growing number of studies now suggest that the vast and diverse microbial ecosystem of the gut has its own daily rhythm. And I believe that. I've seen that in my own life. It changes by what I eat and by what I do, but I have a certain rhythm, and I've kind of figured it out. I've got a certain thing that when I eat certain foods, and a lot of them are cultured foods, I have a rhythm to my body. And it will wake up at a certain time every day between 5:30 and 6. But if I'm not eating those foods, I'm 7 or 7:30, and then I need more sleep. When I don't eat certain types of foods. It's so interesting to me because your body does have a rhythm, and it does depend on what you're eating, what you're doing, whether you're exercising, all of those things. I've gotten into a pretty good pattern because I know what works for me. And it's kind of exciting. It gives me more energy. I need less sleep. I feel more rested. But you should pay attention to the things that you eat and the things that you do and how many probiotic foods you eat, how many prebiotic fibers, salads, soups, vegetables, fruits, all those things feed your microbiome and change those rhythms. And really, you can tell which ones work better for you by how much sleep you need and how rested you feel. I want to talk to you about L-reuteri and deep sleep. Now, of all the cultures I have used, L-reuteri is the one that I get the most emails about, that it helps with sleep. And it's helped me with sleep. And personally, I have noticed a huge difference in my entire family. Like, I think one of the main reasons my husband takes L-reuteri yogurt every day is because it gives him such deep sleep. And he loves that. Because he used to be a little bit of a restless sleeper. And we all just sleep like logs now. All of us, my kids, me. And we know it's the L-reuteri because when we stop it, it changes again. So it is fabulous for sleep, but it takes a little while to get it going. So we found that taking a half a cup a day, and then after about 3 weeks to a month to 2 months, the benefits really start kicking in. And not just sleep, a whole bunch of other benefits too, but that's a whole other article and blog. But if you were interested in that, go to L-reuteri on my blog or in one of my podcasts, and I talk a lot about that. Now, Dr. Davis is one of the people that helped discover how to make this L-reuteri yogurt. It's really a fermented dairy, not a yogurt, but he was one that kind of invented it. And he told me, or this is actually a statement from him on his website that says, "I now sleep 9 hours every night, experience vivid dreams, and need none of those sleep crutches to enjoy a deep and restful night of sleep." And he used to be an insomniac. "I believe that this is one of the effects we get with L-reuteri from the boost in oxytocin it triggers. So I believe that I am able to gauge when a strain of L-reuteri works or not, since L-reuteri increases oxytocin, which thus helps to improve deep sleep." And we have one of the strains he recommended. We made a starter with it. It's just been a fabulous thing for so many, many people. People love it. It's really helped them in so many, not just for sleep, but for many other areas. It increases things like we've seen a lot of people have an increase in muscle growth, in skin repair, in that overall feeling of well-being. Oxytocin creates that feeling of love and compassion, and it really does do that. Even though in the beginning I thought they were crazy, it actually does. And it's so impressive. And I had my daughter, when we first started trying this, my daughter Macy was like, I just don't believe this. I'm not going to do it. She wouldn't do it in the beginning. She wasn't going to try it. She thought it was difficult to make it. She wasn't going to do it. So finally she succumbed to making it because I think I bought her a yogurt maker and coerced her. So one day we were out and she said, "Okay, so I don't want to tell you this because I don't want you to be snarky about this, but you were right about the L-reuteri. It's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. I sleep so good now," because she'd been struggling with sleep. And she said, "It's helping me so much in so many areas." She goes, "But it took about a month and a half to really get going for her." And I think it's because she wasn't consistent with it every day. But now she can't live without it. She did something in my house the other day that I haven't tried that I want to try. She takes L-reuteri and she has this date syrup made out of dates. And she said it's the most delicious thing she's ever had. She just pours it over the yogurt and said it's to die for. So that's my next thing I want to try. But that's how she eats it every day. She said she loves it. She looks forward to it. It's creamy. It's delicious. It has this fabulous flavor. But the main reason that she noticed such a huge difference. And the more sleep you get, the better you feel about your everyday life. So it's such an important thing for people to get good sleep because that's when your body repairs itself. It's also what gives you your mood for the next day because it keeps you calm. It keeps your central nervous system calmed down. So of all the cultures I've tried, L-reuteri, the superfood starter that we make into a yogurt, is by far the best thing that we have found for sleep. Now, I said all that, but there is a lot of research also on bifido, which I love talking about bifidobacteria. That's what they call the young bacteria. You get it from your mom when you're born, through nursing, and when you go through the canal. And it's so important. It does so many things. And once you have a lot of bifido, it feeds the other bacteria. And so there's a lot of research on that too, and specifically Bifidobacterium longum. And it has really been profoundly used to improve sleep. And this study was done at Cambridge University, and they had 20 male students participate during their university exam periods. And the Cambridge Neuropsychological Test Automated Battery was administered to all of the participants. Stress and depression scores increased in both the placebo and the probiotic treated groups during the exam period. And while overall sleep quality and duration of sleep improved significantly in the probiotic treated group, and they were specifically taking Bifido longum during exam, the placebo group did not do well. It was significantly better in the ones taking the Bifido longum. And I love to get this. I love this specific strain in particular. We liked it so much we made a yogurt with it called Yogurt Plus that is super easy to make. It takes like 6 hours in a yogurt maker. And I've been using a lot of that yogurt, the Yogurt Plus, to make probiotic cottage cheese. Guys, it is so crazy good. I love making it. It's fun. Basically, let me tell you how to do it. I have all the recipes on my site and I'll link them. Basically, what you do is you make a batch of Yogurt Plus, and then you take a cup of it and you put it in a gallon of milk and you heat it to 80 degrees and then you turn it off, let it sit for 24 hours. The next day you heat it to 100 and you'll see the whey separate from the curd. And then you strain it in like a cheesecloth or butter muslin and you have cottage cheese. And I've been making cottage cheese smoothies, which, by the way, are like my new favorite thing. And I've made it with Reuteri yogurt, I've made it with Yogurt Plus, and I've made it with kefir. They all make fabulous cottage cheeses. And it's so good for you. Cottage cheese is so good for you because it has a lot of protein, but it's also, this is pre-digested because it's one of the things about probiotics, they help you, the food is already pre-digested through the power of microbes. Anyway, I love it. I've been doing all kinds of puddings and smoothies. I'm going to have to put all these recipes on my site because I'm making all kinds of desserts with them and I'm loving it. It's really, really fun. And having a probiotic food like a yogurt is much better than taking a supplement because a supplement can open up in parts of the body it doesn't belong. Whereas when you have it taken as a food, it has a protective halo around it, so it speeds to the part of the body that is needed and it doesn't get killed in the stomach acids, which is really, really important. That you keep it from just opening up in a place that it doesn't belong, which is, I think, one of the reasons why people are having problems like SIBO and things like that. They're taking too many probiotics and they just open up wherever, and they open up in the small intestines, which causes all kinds of problems. And cool thing about it, Reuteri helps with that. It kills bacteria that doesn't belong there because that's where Reuteri lives. Reuteri does not live in the colon like a lot of other bacteria. So it's very special, very specific, and it helps to clean all that stuff out and really help people a lot. So, okay, there's another study that was done on gut and sleep, and this one was done in Japan. And this one was done on a group of 100 four-year medical students who are preparing to take a national qualifying exam. And the study divided the students into two groups. For 8 weeks prior to the exam and 3 weeks after, one group drank a placebo beverage every day, and it had lactobacillus casei in it. And this is one of the beneficial bacteria found naturally in the human microbe, but is also very strong in kefir and in some yogurts we have it in. And both groups began to feel stress and anxiety as they began to approach the day of the exams. But the placebo group began to experience problems with sleeping. They spent long times taking time to get to sleep and less time sleeping in that deep, slow wave sleep. But the people the students that were taking the lactobacillus casei, the fermented drink, they had a different experience. Their stress levels rose too, but they didn't suffer any sleep problems that the placebo group was experiencing. But in contrast, they didn't have trouble falling asleep. They experienced deep wave, slow sleep. the slow wave sleep that you want, the REM, and felt more rested and ready for the day of their exam. And then the placebo group did. So this study really concluded that consuming the probiotics Lactobacillus casei, which is abundant in kefir, helps protect the students during sleep and otherwise stressful time. And kefir has a lot of other good bacteria, like 50 plus, that are very helpful for sleep. One of the things I do if I was experiencing sleep problems was to take a half a cup of kefir before bed. That really helped. It helped me relax me, and it works very effectively on the microbiome to help relax you and help you to sleep. Now, the rhythms of your gut microbes are greatly affected by your diet, like huge. Like this is like such a big deal. What you eat and when you eat affects very much how your microbiome develops, how strong it is, how not strong it is, and how well you sleep. They recently did a study using rats, and they found that eating a healthy diet full of fiber, like vegetables and fruits, generate more beneficial gut microbes, which it does in you too, and the activity of the microbial life in their gut followed by a daily healthy rhythm of better sleeping, better waking up, and better hormonal balance. So, and I have found that the way to get back to normal sleep was all dependent on how much kefir or yogurt and also fiber I consumed, how many vegetables I had that day, how many fruits or vegetables I had. L-reuteri is by far the most effective of all the cultures for sleep. And it was just a half a cup a day of L-reuteri. I usually take that either in a smoothie or I mix it. One of my things I like to do is I like to make it with a little bit of, I'll chop up a banana and I'll put some slivered almonds in there. I have a blueberry compote I put in there. And that's one of my favorite ways to have it. I've even mixed in like a fourth of a cup of like a little bit of oatmeal in there. I like having it like that too, but I also like having a smoothie all the time. So there's lots of ways to have it. So if kefir or yogurt is taken like a little bit, a fourth to a half a cup at bedtime, that's going to reduce the cortisol that comes from things like perimenopause or menopause or just good old type of stress. And if you have high levels of cortisol at night, which happens to a lot of people, because they'll feel bad during the day and then they'll get a burst of energy at night. And that usually means that their cortisol is rising. So if you need to bring that down so you can make melatonin and GABA that will relax you and allow you to sleep, that's a good way to do it, half a cup before bed. Also, having lots of fiber is a way to feed your microbiomes that help those good microbes to grow, which are constantly being, generated and dying every day. So some of that happens when you're sleeping. So remember to feed those microbes to help you develop your hormones and greatly assist your body. Now, check it out for yourself. Nourish your microbiome and you just watch and see what happens. I don't have to really convince you because you'll see it for yourself. It's amazing what happens when you take care of those trillions of microbes that call you home. And they're all about you. And I have all the best cultures that I use for sleep. I'm going to put that in the link below. I'll give you the recipes on how to make them. And each of these are pretty sustaining. You can make gallons and gallons and gallons of these cultures over and over again. Kefir will last your lifetime if you take care of it. L-reuteri will keep working if you use the first batch to make the second batch and the next batch and the next batch. You can keep using batches, and the same with Yogurt Plus. It recultures. It does great. They're very inexpensive to make, and you can make them all different kinds of ways. And I have a gazillion different recipes on my site. It's delicious. It's been such a joy that I've added to my life to have these new yogurts that we love. I mean, we love them. And I keep saying this, but I just made another big batch of it. We've got a different yogurt maker that we found that somebody developed that has a 36-hour timer, which you need for L-reuteri. And it's fabulous. It's luvelli.com if you want to go check it out. It's on my site and you can find it. But it is a fabulous yogurt maker because it has the right temperature. It has the right time on it because it's hard to find one. And I've got a list of which ones to get. But this is by far the best one I've ever seen. So anyway, it's really fun because you can make like a whole half gallon all at once, which is really fun to do and make. And believe me, you'll want to do it because it makes all the difference and you will sleep fantastic. You won't believe how hard you'll sleep once you start taking Reuteri and some of these other cultures. It's going to make all the difference in the world. And it's going to make you feel better during the day. That's the cool thing, because if you have a good night's sleep, you're a lot happier during the day than you would be had you not. Because if you ever not gotten enough sleep and then you just push yourself all day long to get through the day, because it'll hit you, later in the day and you'll start to get tired. But the good thing is when you have a lot of sleep, it just takes care of itself. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next week.